Level 1, the dishwasher.
You find the job listing on a folded piece of paper taped to a community board outside a culinary supply shop. The address is on the edge of the restaurant district. You show up at 6 a.m. because the listing said 7 o'clock and you want to be first. A man in kitchen whites opens the back door, looks you up and down, and tells you to put on an apron. He doesn't ask your name for 3 days. You're 18 years old. You've cooked scrambled eggs. You've watched cooking competitions on television with your mother on Sunday afternoons. You think this is an entry point, a door you walk through on the way to somewhere else. You don't understand yet that this door is a test. Everything in this building is a test. The dish pit is a 6 by 4 foot section at the back of the kitchen, separated from the line by a rubber curtain and a wall of ambient noise. You stand at a stainless steel sink for 12 hours. Plates come at you in waves. Stockpots arrive crusted with caramelized fond. Sheet trays come in stacked 3 high, still hot. Your hands stay wet from 6 a.m. until your shift ends, and by the time it ends your fingertips have gone soft and pale and strange feeling. The kitchen is louder than you expected. Every surface reflects sound. The hood vents roar. The tickets print constantly with a mechanical clatter. Cooks call out in a language of abbreviated commands you don't speak yet. Fire. Behind. Corner. All day. You learn to move out of the way before you learn anything else. By the end of your first week, your lower back is a single sustained complaint. You own that pain now. It is yours. You watch the cooks on the line the way a child watches a street performer. Their movements are precise and without hesitation. A sauce gets mounted with butter in a pan that never stops moving. A duck breast gets scored in even parallel lines with one draw of a knife. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is accidental. You are nowhere near any of that yet. You understand that completely. You scrub. You show up on time. You don't complain where anyone can hear you. After 4 months, the sous chef asks if you want to learn prep. Level 2, the prep cook. Prep starts at 5 a.m. The dining room doesn't open until noon. In between, there is only work, cold, quiet, methodical work that nobody at the dinner table will ever see or think about. You learn to brunoise a carrot to 2mm cubes. Your first attempt is uneven and you're told to do it again correctly, and to dispose of the first batch yourself because it won't be used. You do this 200 times over the following month until the cuts are consistent enough that the chef de cuisine holds one up to a ruler and nods once without saying anything. That nod is the only approval you'll get for 3 weeks. The knife work is not decorative. Uniformity means even cooking. Uneven cuts mean uneven doneness. Uneven doneness means a dish that fails. Everything in a Michelin-starred kitchen traces back through a chain of precision that starts before anyone has turned on a burner. You fabricate proteins. A whole lamb breaks down under your hands into usable portions, each trim catalogued and routed to stock or forcemeat. Nothing disappears. A fish is broken into its components, the fillets pinned, portioned and held on trays lined with parchment, the frames split and soaking in cold water for fumet. You begin to understand that the kitchen's economy is total. There is no waste because waste is disrespect directed at the ingredient. You burn yourself on the edge of a tilting skillet on a Tuesday in your 3rd month. The blister runs along the inside of your forearm. You wrap it in a clean side towel, finish your prep list, and go home. You show up the next morning. Nobody comments. Nobody needs to. After 8 months in prep, you're moved to the Garde Manger station. Level 3, Garde Manger. Cold station. The quiet end of the line. You plate tranches, compose salads, finish cold appetizers, portion charcuterie. The pace is lower than the hot line, but the standards aren't. A tranche slice must stand straight. A quenelle of crème fraîche must hold its shape. A vinaigrette must coat the leaves evenly without pooling at the bottom of the bowl. You work beside a cook named Adrian who has been in professional kitchens for 9 years. He says almost nothing during service. Afterward, if you ask him something specific about technique, he answers completely. You learn to ask specific questions. Vague questions get vague answers or silence. Your first real service on Garde Manger, you fall 2 tickets behind. 30 seconds on a cold station feels like nothing from the outside. From the inside, with the expediter calling your station and a chef de partie standing behind you without speaking, 30 seconds is a long and specific kind of pressure. You catch up. The dishes leave the pass correctly. Nobody says anything about the 30 seconds. It doesn't matter. You know. You spend a year on cold station. You're moved to saucier at the end of winter. Level 4, the line cook. The hot line is a different country. The temperature at your station runs between 90 and 105 degrees depending on the time of year. On a Friday night during a full turn, 80 covers in a dining room that seats 80 people, the line operates at a tempo that has no civilian equivalent.
You cook 4 things at once.
You plate while a 5th thing is in the pan. You call out your readiness to the expediter, adjust your timing to his cadence, and repeat this process for 4.5 hours without stopping.
You're on sauces.
You reduce veal stock that has been simmering for 18 hours and mount it to a gloss. You finish a beurre blanc 3 times per service and you learn to feel when it's about to break before it does. When it breaks anyway, you dispose of it in the floor drain without being told to, build a new one in under 2 minutes, and say nothing about it. That is the only acceptable response.
Your station is 4 feet wide.
Everything you need for service is within arm's reach and in the same place every night. A cook whose mise en place is disorganized is a cook who makes mistakes. A cook who makes mistakes in a kitchen like this doesn't stay in a kitchen like this. You eat dinner standing up at 4:30 p.m. before service. Usually something assembled from trim and leftover prep. You stop being hungry during service. Hunger is not a relevant condition while 80 tables are turning. You work the line for 2 years. You close the kitchen more nights than you can count. You take a single day off per week and spend most of it sleeping.
Your palate sharpens.
You begin to taste the way the chef tastes, not just for seasoning, but for balance, for the relationship between acid and fat, between sweetness and texture.
Level 5, the chef de partie. You own a station now.
Truly own it. The planning, the ordering, the prep list, the training of the junior cook beneath you. If something leaves your station wrong, it is your failure and it is recorded that way. You're 25 years old. You've been in kitchens for 6 years. Your shoulders carry a permanent tension from years of working over low surfaces. You have a scar on your left wrist from a mandolin. You sleep well because you're too tired not to. The junior cook under you makes the same errors you made 3 years ago. You correct them the way you were corrected, precisely, without performance, and immediately.
You don't raise your voice.
Raised voices waste time and create anxiety that slows people down.
You show the technique again.
You watch them do it again. You repeat this process as many times as necessary. You develop your first original preparation at the request of the sous chef. You spend your days off working through the idea alone at home, making adjustments, researching the history of the core ingredient, thinking about the plate architecture. When you present it to the kitchen, the chef de cuisine tastes it silently, asks 2 questions, and tells you to refine the acid component.
You do.
2 weeks later it appears on a tasting menu as an intermediate course with your station credited internally. It is a small recognition. It matters.
Level 6, the sous chef.
You run the kitchen when the chef de cuisine is absent. You write prep lists, manage scheduling, handle the purveyors, and maintain the standards that the head chef has built over years of work. The responsibility is not abstract. When something fails during service, it failed on your watch.
You're 29.
You've worked in 3 Michelin-starred restaurants across 2 countries. You speak enough French to manage a kitchen that uses classical French terminology as its operational language. You understand that the French vocabulary isn't affectation, it is precision. Mise en place means everything in its place, and that means exactly what it says, every service without exception. You begin to understand food philosophically for the first time. You've been executing other people's ideas for a decade. Now you are in the room where the ideas are formed. The head chef explains his thinking about a dish not as instruction but as conversation, and you realize you're being evaluated on whether you can follow the reasoning, not just the recipe.
You earn a star.
The restaurant earns its 2nd Michelin-Star during your 2nd year as sous chef. The announcement comes on a Monday morning in the off-season. The chef gathers the team in the dining room before service and reads it from his phone. Nobody cheers loudly. There's a contained acknowledgement of something earned and carried forward. You go back into the kitchen and begin prep.
Level 7, the chef de cuisine. You're 34.
The position is at a new property backed by an ownership group that wants a star within 3 years. They give you the kitchen, the budget, and the expectation. You give them everything you have. Building a kitchen from a hiring shortlist is a different task from cooking in one. You interview 30 cooks for 8 positions. You are looking for people who understand that the job is the job, not the reputation of the job. You've seen talented cooks burn out because they were in love with the idea of the work rather than the daily reality of it. You hire the ones who've stayed somewhere long enough to develop real skill. Patience leaves marks, and you can see them. You write a menu that represents where you are in your development, not where you started and not where you're imitating.
The food takes a position.
It says something about the region's produce, about your years in France and Japan, about the relationships you've built with farmers and fishermen who answer your calls at dawn. Your first review runs in a national publication. The critic writes that the kitchen demonstrates rigorous classical foundation deployed in service of genuine restraint. You read it once, file it, and don't discuss it with the team. Reviews are external and you operate from inside. 18 months later, the first Michelin-Star arrives. You're alone in your office when you find out. You sit for a few minutes, then walk back into the kitchen and check the prep list. 2 years after that, the second star comes. You don't sit down this time. You keep moving, because a second star means the standard has changed and you've already started thinking about everything that needs to improve. Level 8, the executive chef. You oversee 3 properties now. You travel between them. You are in no single kitchen for more than 3 days at a time, and that dislocation is its own education. You learn that the systems you build matter more than your physical presence, because your physical presence is limited and systems are not. You hire sous chefs the way you were hired, not for technical brilliance alone, but for the capacity to carry a philosophy through a service without you standing behind them. The best ones internalize the standard and apply it independently. The ones who need constant management don't last. The job requires self-direction or it doesn't work. You lose your lead sommelier and your pastry chef in the same month. The pastry chef leaves for his own project. The sommelier takes a position abroad. You replace them, adjust, and continue. Personnel are always moving. The kitchen absorbs it or it doesn't, and yours does. You carry your team's struggles with you. The young cook going through the end of a long relationship, unable to hold his focus at the pass. The chef de partie managing an injury he won't admit to until you ask him directly. You watch for these things the way you watch for a sauce about to break. You ask the direct question. You get the real answer. You figure out what the kitchen needs next. You're 42 years old. You've held a kitchen together for a long time. You understand now that the kitchen is not the food. The food is the output of the kitchen. The kitchen is the people, the systems, the culture, and the daily discipline of showing up and performing at the level the dining room expects.
Level 9, the institution.
Your name is the restaurant. Not because you sought that outcome, but because 20 years of consistent work in a singular direction has made it so. Culinary publications profile you. Younger chefs apprentice in your kitchen for 3 months and carry pieces of your methodology into their own work. You judge competitions occasionally and find it useful mostly as a way to watch where the next generation of talent is coming from. You sit on advisory boards for agricultural programs. You consult with producers on developing varieties suited to your kitchen's use. You have been in this long enough that the farmers who supply you now were teenagers when you started. You didn't plan any of that. It happened because you stayed. You still taste every dish before it goes to the pass during service. You still correct the knife work personally when you're in the kitchen. The standards don't lower because you've reached a position where lowering them might go unnoticed. That is precisely why they don't lower.
Level 10, after the kitchen.
You left the daily operation 2 years ago. Your executive sous chef runs the flagship property. She's been with you for 11 years, and the food she produces is better than what you could produce today, because she is in the middle of her arc and you have completed yours.
You're 55.
Your right hand has a tremor you manage with careful positioning when you cook for yourself at home.
You cook simple things now. A properly made stock. A roast chicken.
A tart assembled from the season's best stone fruit. You find satisfaction in simplicity that you couldn't have accessed at 30, when simplicity felt like a retreat from ambition. You attend the graduation ceremony of a culinary program that has used your methodology as a framework for its advanced curriculum. You stand before 80 young cooks and tell them the truth about what they're entering. You tell them the kitchen will give back exactly as much as they put in, not more, not less, and that the exchange is fair only if they understand it going in. You tell them that the craft will take their joints and their sleeping hours and their patience and their relationships and a significant portion of their youth, and that what it returns is not fame or comfort but the capacity to create something that exists only in the moment it is eaten and is gone. You tell them that is enough, and you mean it completely.
They listen.
They don't fully believe you. You didn't believe anyone who told you either. Somewhere in this city tonight, a young cook is standing at a dish sink with pruned fingers and a lower back that's already starting to object. They watch someone on the line tonight move a pan in a specific way and they are still thinking about it. They don't know yet what they're at the beginning of. They will spend years finding out.